Hello, my name's John, and I'm a storyteller. I love stories. I hope you do as well. And I've got lots of wonderful stories to tell you. I've actually produced a website with all these stories on, www.biblestorycards.co.uk. You can see all my stories. I'm also a bit of a painter, and so I paint pictures to help me tell my stories. I hope you enjoy them. Hello, this is John again with another one of my wonderful Bible stories. The stories that I'm going to tell you, the story I'm going to tell you today is a story that Jesus told, one of his parables. And I'm excited about this story because in fact he said that it's the most important story of all. And this is what it's about. A man who had some seeds to sow. And of course he found out that if he sowed seeds in the right place, then it would produce a good crop. So he started throwing his seed around. And some of the seed, unfortunately, fell on the pathway. It was so hard and dry that there was no chance that that seed would get into the ground and produce a good crop. And what's more, as soon as it was on the ground, on the pathway, the birds swooped down and they ate it all up, and it produced nothing. But other seed fell into ground that seemed to be very good at first. It was rather shallow, and it started to spring up very quickly, produced quite good stalks. But then the sun came up, and the poor little seeds, the poor little stalks, were scorched in the sun, and they withered and died, and produced nothing. Then some other seed, well, it fell in ground that looked very good. It was rich and soft, and the seeds sprung up quickly and produced beautiful plants. But what the man didn't realize was that inside the same ground there were other seeds as well. Some of the seeds were brambles and weeds and nettles. And just as the seed grew into little plants, so these other plants grew as well. And they wound their way around the little plants and they choked them. So the seeds produced nothing. But fortunately, there was some good ground, and when the seed went in, it produced a good harvest, wonderful harvest. Why, some of it was 100 times more than the seed that had been sown, and it produced a marvelous crop. I told you before, didn't I, that Jesus' stories all have a special meaning to them. And he said that this is the most important meaning of all his stories, his parables. Because it's not really about seeds. Well, it's not really about ground at all. It's about hearts. Your heart and my heart. Let me try and illustrate this with a few cartoon pictures. Do you remember that first seed that fell into hard ground? Well, said Jesus, this is a kind of heart that when it hears the message, wait for a minute, this is what it does. It says, I don't want to know. I'm not interested. I'm too preoccupied with what I'm doing now. I don't want to hear those stories about Jesus at all. Don't tell me any more. I hope you're not like that. I hope you're enjoying these stories I'm telling. But I hope most of all you're listening to the message. Anyway, do you remember that second kind of ground? Well, it produced a crop very quickly, didn't it? It sprung up straight away. And Jesus said, this is the kind of person who listens to the stories and says, hey, I like those stories about Jesus. Oh, I like the message that they contain as well. Yes, I think I would like to be a follower of Jesus. I'd like to listen to his stories and obey them. And then one of their friends at school says, you don't believe all that rubbish about the Bible, do you? What? Jesus walking on the water and making thousands of people a meal out of just a few loaves and fish. You don't believe that nonsense, do you? You must be such an idiot. No, I don't really believe it. I just like the stories. I don't really believe it, says this man. And he gets scared of what other people might say. And do you remember the third kind of ground? Well, that was the ground that had thorns and thistles in it as well, that choked the little seed. And Jesus said, this is the kind of person who says, well, you know, I would go to church and I would listen to the stories of Jesus, but I've got so much to do. I've got the swimming club and I've got my laptop and really, I just haven't time. I'm awfully sorry.
Toodle pip.
And Jesus said, all the cares of life come in, and they stop them obeying the word of Jesus. But of course you'll remember that fourth kind of ground, which was a good ground and produced a good crop. And Jesus said, this is the kind of person who listens to the word and obeys it, and not only that, but gives it out to others, so that they might listen to it as well. Hey, I wonder which kind of ground you are.